river with what the locals call Sprite. Let's check the spring. What's the step? Let's check the spring water. This is on the other side of the river, other side from our property, and this is spring water coming from the other side, which is drinkable. There's a makeshift waterway to get drinkable water. And it's on the opposite side of the property. There's also the other side. Let's check it out. Oops. Yep. Water strong. Multiple pathways. Way up there. There's also a stream there. Unfortunately, someone else owns it, so we need to get permission if we can tap here and then get spring water to the other side of our property. But on the far left, there's also a spring, not as strong, probably a tenth, 1/10 strong, but that's within our property, and probably we can tap water there for use on the pool. But this is closer. Unfortunately, it's not ours. We need to ask permission. And the other side is our property. Okay, next we'll try to go to the spring. Check it out, uh, and if it's viable. We not. It's December right now, so we need to go back on probably summer, April here, to check it out and how strong the water is. And if it's still strong, we can build a water reservoir there to collect water and divert it to the pool. But this is an alternative, but we need to coordinate for the landowner to give us permission to tap. Okay, so this is our pool and 2 cottages, and from the river we're now gonna check out at the left side most of the property an alternative source of spring water that we could try to use and to fill the pool. So instead of river water, we're gonna source it from spring water, which is drinkable spring water. It's much clearer. So we're gonna walk and try to locate the spring water that we previously checked out and see how strong the water source is compared to the one near us opposite the riverbank. But unfortunately that's not part of our property, so but this one is, and but it's much farther away. It's on the far end of the property border along the river. So we'll traverse the river upwards. So the left side is part of our property limit. So the property, the farm is along the river for I think about 100 meters or so this direction. So we'll traverse this until we reach the end of the property along the river. Where we could probably tap and use the spring water. Okay, let's try not to slip. Whoop. The river is not that deep. It's about I think 3 feet at the most deepest, but there are portions that are where the flow or current is quite strong. Especially at the narrow points. So we need to be careful not to slip and not get swept by the flowing current. While we traverse Okay. Hopefully we don't slip and wet the camera, wet the cell phone. So far we can still see the cottage. So I think we're about, guess this about halfway through, 50 meters maybe. Let's traverse here where it's dry. Let's check if we could pass through here. Where it's the current is not that strong, or but there's no current at all. It's shallow. Yes, we don't want to pass through there where the current is quite strong and slippery. So as much as possible we're using the rocks. So I think this path would be best. See? It will be a bit hard to cross with the strong current, river flow. Whoops. There's hardly any visible river life here. There's crabs, there's some goby, and some guppies, some snails. Rarely did we see some turtles because of the strong water flow. Most of the sea creatures tends to get swept in the river. So we haven't found anything bigger than the guppy in terms of fishes here. I think we're more than halfway there. Let's see. So far so good. The river flow here fluctuates, so sometimes when there's a strong rain up in the mountains, the river can rise at about 1 feet, and the flow can also get stronger. And because of the water flow, it gets murkier. Okay, let's check what's the best way to more easiest way to traverse this section. Oops. So we don't need to get too deep. It's hard to see your steps because of the water current. But we'll manage. Hopefully we don't slip. Oops. Zero water flow. It's narrow at this section, so the water is quite strong. Here already. So we found a spring that's within our property line. It says I think 5 meters at the limit of our property along the river. So let's check it out. I've been here only twice when we first found this area, trying to scout where we could find an alternative source for spring water. So it's quite high. I think it's a cliff of about 10 meters. So this one is one of the cliff edges that there's spring water, and we're trying to locate where it's coming from and if we could use it, and also check come summer how strong the water flow is. Make sure it's viable all year round. So those are spring water. Coming from our side of the property. Up to that point there's still some spring water that side. But what we plan is to put some water retaining structures and set up a pipe to where we could pipe it through to our pool and other things that we need to water. So That's pretty high. I think 20 meters high coming from. So supposedly after that big coconut tree, that's roughly the end of our property line across the river. Let's try to check here. The river is quite wide, so there's no rapids and it looks nice, but the other side, it's not part of our property, and the path here is quite hard, but this area looks good, or looks nice for swimming. So let's further walk here and try to check. This side looks to be deep, looks nice and deep. Look how blue that is. I think this is the deepest portion of the river I have ever seen. By the looks of it, should be at least 10 feet. It's partly clear. I'll end the video here, probably. And so that's the upper part of our property along the river, and that's the spring we're trying to look into to see the viability of it. This is part of the spring. We're still on the spring side, checking out this portion of the river, which looks to be very deep, at least 10 to 15 feet in my estimation. So the river there is quite narrow, so the current might be quite strong. I don't want to really. Let's try to check how deep it is by going in this section. Hopefully it's safe. Do it. Then this is about 5 feet. This my stick is about 5 feet and I still couldn't reach. Here I roughly can reach the bottom, so it's about here at the near end. It's about 6 feet, probably 15 feet at its deepest, as it looks very deep. Wow, that's deep. That's the deepest portion of the river I've seen. Okay, I think we'll go back. As we've only went here to check the river, or I mean the spring water. Still checking out the spring water and how strong it is and how viable it is. So let's try to get closer again without slipping. looks like water's coming from the rock crevices. It's not quite strong, but it's, I think, viable.